Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. I am thrilled to have Lyndsay Phillips as our guest today. I'm going to start with saying, I met Lyndsay in a mastermind, and we quickly, became friends on Facebook and started messaging. She's the type of person who you can not talk to for 3 months, but you can message her and you have a question and she's like on it. You know what I mean? She's just there to help and support. So Lyndsay, thank you for joining. I'm going to tell a little bit about you. Lyndsay is the CEO and captain of Smooth Sailing Business Growth. What a great name. And Smooth Business Podcasting, a content marketing and podcast expert, and the host of Leverage Your Podcast Show. She has been featured on MSN, NBC, Fox, and published in Home Service Max magazine. She has also guested on a ton of podcasts, including John Lee Dumas's Entrepreneurs on Fire and Joe Fairless's Best Podcast Ever. She has helped entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, and speakers grow their business through podcasting. She is also the creator of the podcast Leverage System, the proven method to leverage your podcast for higher growth and less stress. Wow. Lyndsay, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited that you have launched your podcast. Yay!
Nice. She's the reason I decided to launch my podcast. I listen to her and watch what she does, and she's just absolutely phenomenal. I pretty much told all the big stuff, but why don't you start telling me a little bit about you?
This entrepreneurial journey has been something else, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I started off having a part-time job, and my kids were small, and I started working as a VA online and loved it and got to learn like content marketing stuff. And then I was like, burning the candles at both ends, and I quit my other jobs, started to grow a team so that I could make more money. And then there was just so much that I hated doing as an admin, and it was just like stressing me out. And I loved content marketing more, and I was getting good results for clients. So I niched down. It was I was like, what do you mean I'm turning clients away? This is crazy. It just felt really weird. And then, but as soon as I did that and changed like my messaging, I just got a flood of clients. I had to grow my team quickly, learned a bunch of lessons in the process. And then as I got into podcasting and having my own and guesting on them, and then I was producing podcasts for clients, I just kind of niched down. I was just like, let's niche again, because it was just hard to like do everything for everybody and be split in 50 directions. So I did that, and then I've even kind of fine-tuned it a little bit more in the past 8 months, because I'm like, you know what? Like, launches are hard work, as you know, Erica.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's crazy. So I was like, I don't want to do launches anymore. I still do some production for clients, but I'm like, I'm just going to go to my roots, right? Like the content marketing part of it. I have my podcast leverage system so that people that are doing a podcast and are guesting on podcasts, that they can use it to the maximum to create content, so they're not banging their head against the wall to try and figure out what to create, and boost their authority, get more leads and convert leads. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of leaning into that a little bit more, which I love. And it's so much easier to be in one lane, I tell you.
We've actually been talking to a couple of people, and that niche, I hear that a lot. And I think a lot of companies are heading that way, especially marketing, content marketing, really focusing on, what we do really good, because that way we can provide the best services for our customers, right?
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel.
I know. And for me, it's like, it's easier to be known and it's easier to be found when you're an expert at like this one amazing thing. Sure, you can do other stuff. Like once you have a client, like, oh, I can do this. But like the way you market yourself, it's just so much easier. And you got one message, a couple of call to actions. It's just like, oh, oh, that's easier. And then your clients and your potential clients, they know who you are, what you do, how you can help them. So naturally, you're going to sign up clients faster, in my eyes.
You're able to solve their problems quicker because you understand their vertical.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it for sure.
So what was your why to go that route?
One of it was to kind of like take control back over what I was doing. You know what I mean? I knew the jobs that I had, it was fine for when my kids were small. It lent me that flexibility. But I'm like, I can earn more than $14 an hour. Like, I'm smarter than this. And I knew that I wanted to not be chained to somebody else. And I was practically running somebody else's business and they're making all the money. I'm like, wait a minute. And I was doing things that I didn't like doing, like sales. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm like, how can I do things that I love, make more money, and work from home so that I have more flexibility with my kids? So I just, it didn't happen overnight, believe you me. But like gradually, I kind of, a natural progression of how it kind of came to be.
Wow. So you have multiple businesses, multiple things going on right now. Like, tell me about those.
Well, I don't have the VA. It's just kind of like my business has changed over time. Do you know what I mean? And I do have some VIP clients where I work on their funnels. I work in Keep, help them with their emails and ClickFunnels and all that good stuff, and like lead magnets, launches. I obviously don't do that for everyone because I would burn out. But for the main vertical really is using my podcast leverage system for podcast guests and hosts. And so what that means is we create like the show notes. We create and publish the episode on their website, create branded graphics, create video clips, reels, quote posts, emails, LinkedIn newsletters and articles, emails to their list to keep nurturing. So like all those assets, all that content just from one episode, whether you're a guest or a host, and then my clients proof it, and then either they pre-schedule it or we pre-schedule it all out.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Let's talk about content marketing, because I think a lot of businesses don't understand the value of content marketing and really how it can leverage your business. I mean, why do you think content marketing is so important?
I always like talk about it in the opposite way. So like imagine like, you're looking for an accountant, or you're looking for a business coach, or you're looking for a yoga studio, or whatever it is. Everyone always looks on their website and look at them on social media. And if you don't have a presence, and if your branding and messaging is like all over the map and it's confusing for people, like they're going to go see someone else. And if you're not consistent with content, they're going to think, oh, they posted yesterday, but they haven't posted in like 3 weeks. And then it was this, or they posted, it's all promo stuff. I see that a lot in the service industries. Then they're just going to think, A, you're just out for sales, or B, that you're not really reliable and that you're not really around to solve their problem or help them when something goes wrong. And so that first impression is key, because you can either repel clients or you can attract them. And so having that online presence and having that content marketing out will let them know that you're reliable, you're trustworthy, you're professional. And also they see you differently. They see how you're solving problems. They see where your expertise is. They see that you're there to help and serve. And they're like, oh, I can learn this piece from that person. That was helpful. And then they're just going to like digest your information because it helps them. And then eventually they're like, oh, I don't want to do this on my own anymore. And they're going to go to you because you have been their problem solver along the way.
Yeah, without even realizing it. So, a lot of people like, I don't have time to do all this content. But, we do this, like we call it the 1 to 100 to 1 method, where you can take one piece of content. So you do a video, right? And then that video can be put on LinkedIn, social media, you know what I mean? All of those places. That video can then be cut into reels. So there's more ways that you can push out this one, you can turn that content into a blog or an article on your website, and then you can share that. So there's so many ways to take single pieces of content and push it out everywhere. Yeah. But it's got to be good content. That's where the struggle is. You're right. There's so much inconsistency and all promo for a lot of social right now. Yeah. That's what it's all promo on our pages. I think in order for businesses to succeed, they need to understand how to solve the problems of their customers, their consumers, right? And where do they talk, right? Where do they share their concerns and their frustrations, right? It's all online. So, being able to push out that content and then interact with those who are responding, right? I think that is a point a lot of businesses are missing out on. They're not responding.
I agree. I know. And admittedly, I'm not perfect either. It's not like I follow everything I do to the T. It's just reality. But it's like, I do find when I spend more time on LinkedIn and I comment on people's posts, and then I see, who else has commented on that? Oh, they're in the podcasting industry. I'm going to like and follow them. I'm going to comment on their post. Yeah, you do go down a little bit of a rabbit hole for a little bit. But when I do that, it always comes back. People end up following me. They invite me on their podcast. They book a collaboration call with me, or I find out, oh, this person's interesting. I'm going to invite them onto my podcast. And so I create all those connections, and I also kind of like broaden my exposure in the lane that I want to. So I'm more strategic that way on who I follow and who I communicate with, but it always comes back. And then it's like, you get too busy, and then like 5 days go by, and then I'm like, I haven't communicated on LinkedIn. Oh, and then I go back in. And so I'm just like everybody else, right? Just
right.
We're human. I know, but you have to make that time because you do get those efforts back. And it can be fun. I have great conversations with people.
So how can podcasters grow their visibility or their authority in business? Like, can you give us a tip or one of your secret methods or something? Would you mind sharing something like that with us?
For sure. There are a couple of ways, and they're the first 2 steps in my podcast leverage system. So the first one is to publish, and that means publishing your episode on your site, kind of like a blog, right? I still call it a blog. And so you've got the audio player in there, and you've got show notes, timestamps to make it more interactive. But then also you've got the ability with those show notes to SEO that post and rank for a specific keyword. Even if the title in WordPress is different from the title that is on your image or in your iTunes or whatever, it's okay. You can tweak that title just for what you publish in your website so that you're optimizing it for your SEO. And then your sexier title is like out publicly. And then obviously you're able on your post to then capture leads in the sidebar, having call to actions, having images for things that you're an affiliate for and making affiliate money. But like, again, being able to have somewhere for your audience to go and your hub, but also to SEO that, you're going to bring more organic traffic to find your podcast. So definitely publish. The second one would be to make sure you're distributing everywhere. So in your host, whether it's Libsyn, co-host, whatever, just make sure that you are distributing to like all of the directories. And I'll give you a link, Erica, of the list that I have of 24 directories. And then you can always include that in the show notes. I mean, there are so many, especially with like Apple apps, like Good Pods. There's a new one every day. So not just to rely on iTunes, Apple, Amazon, and Spotify, go to all of the directories because there are so many and you don't want to discount some of the audiences. And quick tip is some of those directories do have like rankings or lists, especially in their categories. So like, for instance, I'm in Good Pods. That was a good one. And so I'll get notices to say, oh, you're number 11 in the marketing category. I'm like, sweet. And then I take a screenshot of that, right? Put it on my website, share it on social. So then people are like, oh, that show is number 11. Maybe I should check it out. So that's another way where you can use those little tiny credibility things. Or like, again, when someone gives you a review, share that with your email list, with your social media to say, oh, I got this great review, because it piques people's interest. Oh, if they think it's good and it helped them, I'm going to start listening. So that's
that social proof, right?
Yeah.
Is that social proof? Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
your friends are more likely to, or consumers are more likely to make a purchase if their friends like or follow or, that brand, right?
Yeah.
We're just very influenced by what our friends are doing. And because of the way social media is set up, it's very easy for us to see, what our friends are doing. Hey, I think I need to do that too. Right. So,
Totally.
and it's really like the most inexpensive form of marketing, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it has the most impact, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone compliments your podcast or like, even on a social post, like, oh my God, that episode was so good. You helped me realize blah, blah, blah. Then like take a screenshot of that and share an email. Oh my God, this made my day. Someone said this. Hey, have you listened to the podcast yet? Check out that episode. Or like, and you're not bragging, you're showcasing that you've helped someone. So you want to help more people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about helping people. Like, if that's what this whole podcast is about, is helping entrepreneurs kind of find their way, right? So that they can live the lives, they can build their life by design. So, that's what my intention here is. I want entrepreneurs to be able to figure out how to do some of this stuff so that they can get ahead and really focus then on what they're best at. So with podcasts, though, like, how do you measure success? Like, how does that work, and the impact of your podcast content? So talk to me about that. How does that work?
That's a great question, because everyone automatically is like, how many downloads do you have? Or like, do you have sponsors? Or like, to me, I'm like, that's hype. Many of the podcasts don't last past 10 episodes. So if you're consistent and go past 10 episodes, hey, you're doing something. Keep at it. And the average like good podcast, for lack of better terms, is usually like 100 episodes, and that's considered like you're doing well. And then once you get to like 500 and 1,000, then it's like, ooh, you're hitting the upper echelon, if you will. And then like a lot of sponsors kind of look at more episodes that are like at 5,000 downloads per episode.
Got it.
That is like the smaller percentage, right? So it's like you can't go into podcasting thinking, oh, I'm going to make my millions being a sponsor. So you have to think about other ways to measure, but then also other ways of monetizing and achieving success. Okay. So one of them is to lead gen. So everything you're doing with the podcast, and there's like a lot of different strategies you can use, but like, getting leads, right? And putting them down the funnel and then like nurturing them and converting them to clients. That is the most basic model. You're using the podcast to showcase your expertise and your authority and get leads and clients. The other way is through affiliate marketing. So I'm an affiliate of like a ton of different things. And so every blog post I have always has an image and showcase one of my affiliates, like a software, a tool, whatever it may be. In my emails, I always showcase one when I'm sharing my podcast. I know I need to like put in little ad spots. You can even put actually your own ad spots in your own podcast without having a sponsor, because you can showcase like TubeBuddy or whatever it is that you use. Obviously, share a link that goes to your affiliate link, because people do buy from ads. And so you can create your own ad and start monetizing that way. It doesn't have to be that traditional sponsorship spot. And then so
That's
going
cool.
back to, yeah, it's so easy. And you don't even, you're like, oh yeah,
It's like mailbox money is what I call it.
I love that. Such a good term. I just had on my show, actually, he's called The Affiliate Guy, Matt McWilliams. His episode just went live recently. And it's like, I had him on because I'm like, ooh, I'm all about affiliate marketing. What can I learn? And he was awesome. He was so good.
I'll totally check it out.
Yeah. But looking at numbers, obviously, yes, your downloads matter. You want to make sure that it's progressing and moving along. You can look at your rankings again on those different directories. They will give you, some of them give you like stats or where you are in the chart kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And then if you're using a specific lead magnet for your podcast or a specific URL that you're not using everywhere else in your marketing, then you can see, oh, I'm getting all of these leads from my podcast.
Yeah.
So then you can kind of track that way.
There's simple ways to do that.
Yeah.
By creating, different bit.ly links, or, I mean, you don't have to have a whole lot of knowledge about it. It's very simple to create those links.
Yeah. And I mean, even something as simple as when you get a new prospect or a new sales call, ask where you heard, like, where'd you hear from me? And for me, it's mainly my podcasts that I've guested on, or people just Google like podcast consultant or podcast this or that. And because of my SEO efforts, they find me. So they are, and referrals, but they're the main ways that I get my prospects.
I think that's fantastic. Everything that we've done has actually come through referrals. And so it's kind of a cool way to do it. I mean, you have to measure, everything you're trying. So, having that specific link, making sure you can track from podcast, every podcast, you could potentially change the link if you have time. That way you can see which ones are actually traffic. I mean, there's so many cool things you can do to develop that funnel and understand exactly what's happening from, beginning all the way to end and where they're falling off in that lead magnet, that funnel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as an entrepreneur, as a mom, trying to, make it work, there's always failures, right? We fail forward. Can you tell us about a time that sucked and kind of how you pushed through it?
Yeah, everyone has failures that they don't talk about. But I had a lot of clients that were in the real estate investing industry. And so I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go after I don't know why I attracted them all. And then, so I had a real estate investor marketing part of my business. And then, so I had like the logo. I even had the real estate investor marketing podcast. I had a membership program. And so I built all of that. And I did get leads and I did get prospects, but either they didn't buy, and then I discovered they weren't my ideal client. And then I was like, this is not working out for me. And so it was like, when do you call it quits, right? And then, so I'm just like, so I just cut it all out, rebranded. And I'm like, that's when I focused more on the podcasting than anything else. So I had like the podcasting, I had content marketing, I had REI marketing. I was like, sweet baby Jesus, I can't do it all. And so
baby Jesus,
I had to cut it out. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So it's okay to like try things and it not work. And you don't know until you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
No.
Until you know.
Yeah.
We say it's test, analyze, optimize. So
it did not work, and that's okay.
Yeah. It is really hard to make the decision as an entrepreneur to walk away from something or an idea or a process, because like this is our life. As an entrepreneur, all we do is think of ways to do our job better, right? To create something that's gonna, again, provide value. When things are getting rough and you're like, oh, I'm not sure this is gonna work, it's really hard to stop that. It's really hard to walk away and take that leap.
No.
Unless you can see what you're jumping into, it's really hard to make that leap. I think a lot of businesses fail because they are afraid to walk away from an idea.
Yes, because you feel like, oh, you invested your emotions, your time, your belief, right? And so to say that it didn't work, you're like, oh, it's crushing.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But it's so freeing. Once I finally did it, I was like, oh, that feels better. I don't have to do all that stuff anymore.
And then you're able to really focus on the things that you so much value, right? It is, but it is, and when it comes to clients, it's so hard for us to, sometimes we have to walk away, just because the relationship isn't working or something like that. But it's hard. It's hard to give up on clients. It's hard to give up on
team members.
Yes. It's just, you want to do the best that you can. And I mean, I do. I want to provide the best quality as possible.
I know.
But sometimes when you make decisions or you think that this is, the direction you're going to go and it's not showing results, you have to pivot.
No.
You just have to pivot.
I know. Or sometimes you're not doing yourself a service. Like you're stressed out, you're burning out, you're like, a doormat for, you know what I mean? Or you haven't set boundaries or whatever it is. I don't like doing this anymore. Like, it's okay for it not to be a fit all of a sudden, It's like, and just having that honest conversation, like, this is too much for me. I'm going in a different direction. I don't mind doing this, but I can't do this anymore. You're going to need to find somebody else. Like, and if you have any kind of good relationship with that person, they're going to be like, hey man, you got to do what makes you happy. Like, I totally get it. As long as you don't, hitting the high road tomorrow, you're fat out of luck then. But if you have ethics and you have an open conversation with someone, like, it's fine.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So my final question for you, actually my second final question. Who do you think is the most innovative entrepreneur in American history?
In American history?
Uh-huh. Well, you're in Canada, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. So you know what? Who do you think is the most innovative entrepreneur ever? Let's try that. You don't even have to stay in it.
What do you consider innovative? Like something that's brand new and like never seen before?
Inspiring. So, I mean, I had somebody on the other day, and she said the most innovative entrepreneur was her mom, and she gave me reasons as to why. So, it just can be anybody who you think inspired you or inspired the world.
I honestly would have to say our friend Mike Aguilera with Food Dog.
Yes.
I've been with him for years. And so he had gold medal service, like, plumbers, electricians, whatever. Grew it to like $32 million from him just being an electrician with Rob.
Yeah.
And then he had a coaching company and we grew it together with, my buddy Aaron and then he sold gold medal and now he sold CEO Warrior and got that now he's got Food Dog and that's $1 million company. I'm like, man, he cannot touch something and it fail. I'm sure he's had some micro failures, but really in the grand scheme of thing, he's always reinventing his visions. Yeah, the way his brain works, and he's Mach 90 even without coffee. It's crazy.
Yes, I mean he is always just boom, right? If anybody wants to learn more, definitely go to fooddogroup.com.
Yeah,
these guys are absolutely amazing, and I agree with you. I'm gonna have to agree with you. He is, but with this Food Dog Group, it's about mind power. It's something totally different than you would expect. Well, he truly wants to touch people and help them develop so that they can be their best self. So absolutely check him out. And you're right. I think he's a very innovative entrepreneur.
Very.
He figured it all out on his own, and his wife. His wife props, right? Because she was right there the whole time.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. So where can listeners find you?
If they go to smoothbusinesspodcasting.com, and if they want to check out my podcast, they can go to leverageyourpodcastshow.com and check out some episodes.
Fantastic.
I really appreciate you coming and you talking to me. You were just like
glad you'd have me.
Total rock star. Definitely check out her podcast because there's some great information, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So again, thank you, Lyndsay. We appreciate you, and we'll talk soon. All right, dear?
All right. See you.
Right.
Wow, what a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.